Anyway, continuing on, looking at the difference between the Old Testament Passover and the New Covenant Passover, which is what I keep. Now, the Exodus Passover included the painting of the lamb's blood on the doorpost. The New Covenant Passover involves its participants being washed in the blood of Christ. Notice Revelation 1 and verse 5. And from Jesus Christ, who is the faithful witness and the first begotten of the dead, and the prince of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us and washed us from our sin in his own blood. Okay. Now, the Old Testament Passover contains no instruction for foot washing. Did you realize that? Nothing in there about foot washing. The New Covenant Passover contains instructions for foot washing. Notice John 13 and verse 2. And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. Now again, they did eat the Last Supper. It was the Last Supper that Christ would eat in the flesh. Okay? All right. Verse 4, he rises from supper and laid aside his garment and took a towel and girded himself. After that he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with a towel wherewith he was girded. So what did Jesus do? Well, Jesus washed his disciples' feet. John 13 and verse 14. Notice what Christ says. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Now, folks, I don't know if you realize this, but there is no getting around this. You know, there really is. It's not. I mean, there's no getting around this. I can remember when I first came into the church thinking, I'm not going to do that. There was a lot of things I thought I wasn't going to do, you know, like the Sabbath, the holy days, and clean and unclean meats. I'm not going to do that. What do you do? No way. Are you crazy? I'm not going to do that. And then we came to this, the foot washing. But, you know, it's about humbling oneself. It's about serving one another. You know, the strange thing, I don't have a problem washing someone's feet. I don't have a problem being a servant. I do have a problem with someone washing my feet. You know, it's because I think men, you know, a lot of times we don't let others do for us, and we're self-sufficient, or so we think we are. And self-sufficiency is not a good, you can't really have that in a relationship with God. I mean, total self-sufficiency. We have to depend on one another. We have to depend on God, of course. But what I'm saying is, as we look at this instructions here, you're going to have to deal with this. There's no getting around it. Okay. Now, I'll explain what we do. You know, when this time comes in our service, the New Covenant Passover, we separate men and women. The women go back in the back, the men stay here, and we wash one another's feet. Now, husband and wives, you know, if you're elderly or can't make it to this service, you know, you can do this. Husband and wives can do this at home, wash one another's feet. You know, it can get a little bit complicated. I mean, this service is for those who have entered into covenant with God. Now, the foot washing, yeah, you don't have to be in covenant to wash one another's feet, but to take the bread and the wine, you have to be in covenant with God. You don't want to take that bread or that wine if you have not entered into covenant with God. It'd be too dangerous to do that. So what I'm saying is there are fellowship groups who are keeping the 14th Passover service, the New Covenant Passover, all over the world. There are little pockets of people doing this all around the world. And the only problem is they don't advertise it because it's only for people who have entered in. You know, we don't put a big sign up saying, come celebrate the New Covenant Passover with us, because it's for only those who have entered into covenant with God. And that's the reason we don't advertise it. That's the reason we don't, you know, run an ad in the paper, come join us, because, you know, it is for those who are called. It is for those who are in the body of Christ. It is for those who have made that decision to enter into covenant with God, you know. So anyway, continuing on.